A very good afternoon and welcome along to this week's Lite Bite Lunch. My name's Rory Devlin and I'm absolutely delighted. Joining us today from Cavan Pet Crematorium, we have Ralph Dunne. So,
thank you.
So for the next 30 minutes, grab a cup of coffee, pull up a chair, sit back, relax and enjoy a Lite Bite Lunch. Well, Ralph, absolutely great to have you with us. Thank you very much. And I know how busy you are down there, so I'm absolutely delighted we were able to drag you away for a few minutes to have a chat with us today.
Perfect. Yeah, that's no problem.
So before we go into too much detail, maybe you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your own background, etc.
Okay, well, I suppose to lots of people it's probably quite boring and quite ordinary. I was originally involved in a family business, and through that time, I discovered a great desire to show dogs. And eventually, I got my first dog, a golden retriever, took him to some championship shows, made him into an Irish champion. And with that success, I thought, oh, I need to have another breed. So eventually, we discovered the breed, the Clumber Spaniel. They're quite a rare breed. And over a period of time, we managed to have a Clumber Spaniel puppy called Garfield. And Garfield, I suppose, is the reason that Cavan Pet Crematorium exists, because Garfield was a rather unique dog. I was very lucky with him. He was very successful in the show ring. And his top award was winning Best in Show at Crufts Centenary Show. So that was, from the start to the very end, was the ultimate in dog showing. So probably at the time, I didn't realize how fortunate I was to have a dog of that quality. And it's only since then, over the years, that you sit back and think, and with all the memories that you would have had with him, and really just how good he was.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like when you think back to Garfield, as soon as you got him, and now I know there's quite a lengthy story which you've told us before about going searching to find the perfect Clumber Spaniel, etc. As soon as you had Garfield, did you know how good he was?
That's a very good question. Not being totally experienced in the breed, I was doing my research through photographs. Obviously, back then it wasn't as easy. Social media wasn't as easy to access. So it was all the old form photographs, magazines, various things like that. So I would be constantly looking at photographs of Clumber Spaniel puppies from 6 months onwards. And Garfield didn't really look like those puppies, even though they were very successful. So I began to think, well, Garfield is either fantastic or not very good. So, but my gut feeling was, yeah, this is something good, but I had nothing really to compare him against. So when I took him to his first show in England, when he's just over 6 months old, it was actually a show in Scotland. Some people within the breed were just absolutely astounded when they saw him and wanted to know where I got him, what age he was, all about him. They thought he was just sensational. And it was only then we probably really realized he was special.
Yeah. Right. Well, I know your current Clumber Spaniel puppy, who probably isn't as much of a puppy as from when I first saw him,
Yeah.
Rhaegar. It was
Yeah.
absolutely remarkable to see this playful little puppy. But the second that league goes on, he becomes a totally different dog. So attentive, everything, so focused.
Yes, that's what you find with show dogs. They're just your ordinary pet outside the ring, round the house, doing fun things with them. But when you go to a show ring and put the lead on them to go into the ring, they just seem to switch a switch, and they realize they're outperforming, they're moving around the ring, there's people looking at them, they enjoy the movement, and if they're well constructed, movement to them is effortless and enjoyable. It's and they cover Garfield and Rhaegar both can cover the ground effortlessly, and it's actually a joy to watch them move.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As I said, having met Rhaegar as a young pup, I was absolutely dumbfounded to see this playful little ball of fluff
Yeah,
who became a totally different
yeah,
animal and totally focused. It was quite remarkable to actually watch. And
yes, and this is what you find with show dogs. A top winning show dog is generally a top dog for a specific reason, and it's usually their attitude around the ringside, because so many dogs fulfill the breed standard, and it's only those few extra dogs that have the X factor.
yeah,
And sometimes you can put all the work into each dog for the show ring, grooming them, having them in good muscle tone, exercised well. But when they go to the show ring, they just are so bored. They don't like the show ring, and they just have no interaction with other dogs, or with the judge, or with the whole atmosphere. It's almost as if they don't like being there, and they find it boring. But a show dog, a good quality show dog, really just comes to life when they get into the show ring.
that's exactly it. But I mean, in that regard, then, I think that's one of the big differences, show dogs to domestic dogs, or one of the big things that's very similar is
Yes,
the importance of the socialization aspect for them.
yes, and that's relevant to all dogs, whether they're pet dogs, show dogs. That's very, now they all have their own personalities, so some deal with different circumstances differently than others. Some are very outgoing, some are a little bit more aloof. But there are dogs, when you do take them to the show, they know they're going to the show ring, and they just come alive.
Absolutely. So, as you know, everyone that comes on the show is asked the question about their favorite Lite Bite Lunch. So, for you at the moment, what's your ideal Lite Bite Lunch?
Well, obviously, that's an interesting question. We always try to have proper dinner at home, but a light lunch for us would be we go into a little cafe in Belturbet occasionally, and they do the most wonderful toasties, ham and cheese toasties. And if you're looking for something a little bit more luxurious, they do wonderful sourdough with avocado and salmon on it, and it's delicious. So that's a nice little treat to have every so often.
Absolutely is, and might have to pay a
And
visit down
healthy.
there. Yeah, I might have to pay a visit down myself to have
Yes.
a look at that.
Yeah.
So, within the crematorium itself, right? We've talked a lot about dogs, but you actually cater for a huge amount more than just dogs there in the crematorium.
Yeah, we do. Obviously, all domestic pets, whether it be cats, dogs, rabbits, guinea pigs, um, bearded dragons. We've actually cremated a goldfish on one occasion for a family. Budgies, parrots. Let me think. Is there anything else? Oh, we've had a couple of white rats, hamsters. So we cater for all of the domestic pets. up from, I say, a goldfish right up to an Irish Wolfhound or Great Dane. Those being the largest of the dog breeds.
Yeah. We do have a question for you there. Monique is asking. She's amazed how Garfield is aware of the occasion and rises to it. Are his siblings performers like him?
Yes. Garfield was not used extensively at stud because I was very conscious that I didn't want him exploited, and I didn't want people using him for the sake of having a Crufts winner in their pedigree. But he was used on about 3 times, I think it was, in England, and his progeny, I think he's had something like 7 or 8 champions, and up until very recently, his daughter was the breed record holder for the number of CCs in England. So yes, he has passed that trait on to many of the offspring. But unfortunately, the way time has gone, all of those offspring would have all passed away. Rhaegar is an exception because I had some semen stored from Garfield, in the early 90s, and had tried to use it a few times unsuccessfully. But then 3 years ago, there was one puppy, hence Rhaegar.
Absolutely brilliant. Now, I want to go back, and I know it's a difficult time for you personally for a number of reasons, but you opened the crematorium there literally weeks before the COVID lockdown happened. So you have all this money invested, you're ready to go with a big flourish, the whole lot, and bang, suddenly everything stops.
Yes.
What gave you the drive to go on? I know you had to totally rework your business model, everything at the time, but what was it drove you on?
I suppose the crematorium is a result of Garfield. Again, it goes back to him. I had him cremated, and the service that we received for his cremation wasn't just what I would have liked. It wasn't as personal as I would have liked, nor is it, and from that time on, I always had this idea in the back of my mind that I would like to offer this sort of a service to the general public, and looked at the project several times. Timing just wasn't right. And then eventually, about 6 years ago now at this stage, we set the ball in motion to start this project. So there was a lot of involved in getting planning, different regulations, finances in place, and updating the building. So there was a lot of work going on behind the scenes. So eventually, when we were ready to open, we opened probably about a month, maybe just before lockdown. But, we were in the very early stages. So we were trying to iron out a few little hiccups in the sense the road that we were going to go down. We initially thought we would offer this service as a weekly or fortnightly collection to the veterinary practice in sort of Cavan, Mead, Monaghan, that sort of an area. But then lockdown came, and which meant then we had to rethink our service. It wasn't as easy to travel around, obviously, because of the service that we provided. We were able to accommodate families coming to us, and one had come back into the quiet room, one would stay in the car, the doors would be left open, we'd be standing in the doorway, speaking to the people at a distance with the masks on, so it wasn't the way we wanted to open, but it really made us realize this was the route that we wanted to go down. We wanted to be able to deal with people on a one-to-one basis. Families come to us, have time in the quiet room, and have the total reassurance that they're getting their own pet's ashes back quickly.
Yeah.
So that was the positive side from the lockdown. From a personal point of view, it was very stressful because my dad went into hospital with an infection and sadly picked up the virus in the hospital and didn't survive. So it also made us very, very aware of the safety for people coming to us because of our bad experience. And it also gives us a sort of the insight. People want this comfort when they come. They want to be able to talk to somebody, maybe talk about the pet's life, and then when they come back for ashes, people tend to be in a much better space, and it's almost like a wake for people. They come, they chat about the dog, the fun things, the nice memories they've had, and we find when people like that return, they're in a much better space and much more accepting of the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it is such a difficult time for people. I know that my first experience going into you was actually with our mother-in-law's dog, and that was in April 2020. So, like, it was, and I'd no idea what to expect, and I was just blown away by the facilities you offered and the attention to care. And I mean, what stood out to me was that for both yourself and Bill was a genuine love of animals. This wasn't just a business to you. This was an absolute vocation of passion.
It probably it is, and we're totally focused on this. So much so that people want to contact us out of hours. For a startup, we really don't have an opening and closing time. We're not a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday service. We're available at all times, because we know that when pets pass away like this, it can be at any time of the day, morning, noon, or night. And people do want to just reach out and speak to somebody, not these answer phones or these chatbot things that pop up across screens. Not that I know much about them, but people want to speak to somebody live at a time like that.
Yeah,
And we
absolutely. Well, we're just going to make quick mention about this. Yes, we are in full flow for the Micro Business Awards, and the finalists were announced there recently, and we're looking forward to all the submissions coming in. For anyone that would like to attend the awards, they're on the 26th of October in Knightsbrook Hotel in Trim, and tickets are available now. I do know from speaking with the hotel there are only a few rooms left, because they've been, since the finalists were announced, they've had quite a number of people on to actually book their rooms for the finals. But if you would like tickets to attend, you can email microbusinessawards@gmail.com and just put the subject tickets, and that will make sure it's directed to the right person, who will get you out then your invoice for your tickets with a payment link, the whole lot on it. And then you'll get a confirmation email once that's paid, confirming that your tickets are booked and giving you the full information on the rundown. It is an absolutely wonderful evening of networking. Aside from the sumptuous good meal, we have a lovely jar raffle on the night as well. And we get to sit back, relax, and enjoy the company of other people who, much like small business owners, know the struggles of going it alone, know the fears, but also know the enjoyment when things go really well. And it's lovely to have, as a community, a chance to share that. So if you would like to attend, as I said, you can email microbusinessawards@gmail.com, the subject tickets. Let us know how many tickets you'd like, and we can get all that arranged for you. So while we're talking about the awards there, Ralph, you're actually a finalist this year. Actually, I think you're a finalist in a couple of categories this year.
Yes, which has been fantastic. And these nominations are wonderful when you're not really aware that you're being nominated, and it's a great surprise. But it's actually a reward for all the hard work that you put into a business, that people can recognize a business and the services. So it's been a great news to get the information about the awards and the nominations. So we have a little bit of work now to do to get our presentation together. So
No, well, absolutely. And I mean, it's like from our point of view as the people who run the awards, and I will just to clarify, by the way, that I had no hand actor part in either the nominations or the judging selecting you. While I have used your service and I know how good it is, that I did not personally have any involvement in that. It's something I make a point of staying totally out of. I have a fabulous team working behind the scenes on all that side of it. I just get the job of announcing who the finalists and the winners are, but I don't get involved in the judging or anything. So just in case anyone is wondering, when I mentioned about the fact that I have actually used the service and know how good it is. So I have an interesting question for you, and it's something that I've started asking people recently because I think it's very important to get an idea of where they're at. If you weren't running the crematorium now, what is it you think you would be doing?
That's a difficult question, but it's very easy to answer. I have absolutely no idea. All I know is this is something that has been in the back of my mind for the last 20 odd years. And having opened now for 4.5 years, we're just totally focused on this. And I suppose it's very, very satisfying when you see the response from people when they come back to us, and people coming to use the service second, third, fourth time, and still have all the very positive comments to make. So we don't have time to think of anything else, just totally involved and immersed in this. And it is long hours, but the reward that you do get from it is, as I said, when you see the reaction from families, their appreciation of the service, and also the fact that they're so happy and content knowing that they have their own ashes back quickly.
Absolutely. Now, so what's next for the crematorium? Have you plans to do something different, or?
No, the plan for our service at the moment is to maintain the service that we offer, try to improve it, maybe by taking opinions from different people if they come and suggest little items that we could change. But having reached this level of service at this moment, it's very difficult to maintain this service or level, and it's important that we continue to do the same into the future and try to move on with the times. If there are different products become available, to have those items for families as a choice to have their ashes stored in. But our focus is to maintain what we do and to keep it at this level. And that's actually equally as difficult as building up to this level from the very beginning.
Yeah, no, absolutely understand that. And you've just mentioned there about the range of items you have. I mean, you have well, first of all, you have the compostable sleeves. You then have
Yes,
your range of urns. You have
yes,
the little hearts that I've seen in there.
yes.
You're now doing wearable jewelry as well, I believe.
We have some jewellery items, and they're quite popular for families who want to keep a small amount of ash with them at all times. We also have some lovely items like tea light holders. We have some ceramic pieces. We have a lot of nice quality items. While we still have the standard basic items that people want to use, but we like to be able to give people a choice and still have some quality items for people, because sometimes people in their moment of sorrow can be a little bit reckless and maybe choosing things that may not necessarily be appropriate. So we feel that a family are here with us and they're rushing into making a decision on choosing something that we feel perhaps isn't necessarily the right choice for them at the time, we will always say to them, have a look at what's here, go home, make sure you're happy with what you're wanting to choose, and confirm tomorrow before you come back for your ashes what you would like them to be returned in. Because sometimes people uh, just choose things randomly, and they might look beautiful at the moment, but quite often when they have time to reflect on their choice, they may like to choose something different, as has happened on many occasions.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I actually have Daisy's ashes in the cabinet here behind me, with the paw prints and the fur you actually did for us when we brought Daisy into you. I
Yes.
actually like so there we have them in the office here with us. We have the rabbits on the mantelpiece at home, so we've little bits of them everywhere we go.
Yeah. And the thing is, when you have your pet's ashes with you, it gives you the choice that if you're moving, you can take them with you. It gives you time to decide if you ever want to scatter the ashes, that perhaps on a favorite walk or a holiday destination, you can take the ashes with you, scatter them then, perhaps keep a small amount of ash. Or if the family are spread all over the country, perhaps when they all come back for a weekend together, you can also spread or scatter the ashes as a family and do it all together.
Absolutely. Well, now Monique has another comment there for you. It's wonderful to see someone following their path in life and giving so much to their fellow creature, both human and animal. Setting up setting up such an ambitious project can't have been easy, but what a purposeful life.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you, Monique.
And we have another comment there, Anita. I wish I knew of a service like this back when I needed it. I imagine it would bring so much comfort. What inspired you to start the service?
Well, as I have said previously, when Garfield was cremated, I just felt that I was sorry I didn't have a service like this available to me to take him to. So from that moment on, it has always been in the back of my mind that I would like a service like this so that families can come with their pet, have the little bit of time here, and have the reassurance and confidence that they're getting their own ashes back same day or next day, just depending on timings. So all this really goes back to Garfield.
It's
And
so it is amazing how it has come full circle in that regard.
it is. And I suppose the one thing I would like to say probably too is, having never exploited Garfield in any shape or form, or never, as people often think, oh, she would make lots of money by selling puppies or breeding from them. None of those things happened. So perhaps in a strange way, this is Garfield's legacy for me now as well, to offer this service to the general public.
Absolutely, and it is very much a case of coming full circle. Well, Ralph, how can people get in contact with you? Because the timing is running out very quickly on us. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Okay, well, I'm looking here at the screen and I can see some of our information running across the bottom of the screen. And it's Cavan Pet Crematorium .com, and it's also Cavan Pet Crematorium at gmail.com, or we can be contacted on social media. Just look up Cavan Pet Crematorium.
That's great. And Anita's just followed up with, thank you. And it's great that it's a legacy to Garfield. So we'd absolutely agree there.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Well, listen, Ralph, thank you so much for taking the time today. I do appreciate how busy you are down there. And I know you're running off for another appointment now at 2:00. So really do appreciate your time today. We won't be back with you in 2 weeks' time. I'm actually away working on something for the show later in the year, but more details about that will come in due course. But we will be back in 4 weeks when we'll actually have another finalist from the Micro Business Awards. We'll have incredible socks with us. And we look forward to seeing you all then in 4 weeks' time for a Lite Bite Lunch and a quick cup of coffee. Good afternoon.
Thank you.